Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Left Hook with Mark Bland. You can find us every single Saturday morning, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Central Standard Time at WIBHradio.com, as well as on 102.5 WIBH or 1420 KRLL. Multiple CBS radio affiliates across the country playing the show. We are really, really happy to be a part of that family. And, well, welcome to the next Left Hook, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what else to say, but this is going to be a unique episode. And the reason this is going to be a unique episode is Donald Trump. And the reason Donald Trump is going to be a unique episode is because Donald Trump has decided to do things that he shouldn't be doing. Let me explain. On this episode, technically, ladies and gentlemen, we should just call this Coming Out of the Dark. We really should. We should call this Coming Out of the Dark because it seems as though the Republicans, and Donald Trump specifically, with some moves that were made this week, right? We've already taken the military and put them into cities. And now we're starting to roll them out. But then people are like, where's all the crime? And he keeps going, well, they're war zones. The cities are war zones. It's a problem. And then everybody's like, whoa, wait. We live in these cities. We literally live here. You're a talking head in Washington, D.C., thousands of miles away from Portland, Oregon. Thousands of miles away from Seattle, Washington. Los Angeles, from the entire West Coast. You're a talking head from way over there. And because you're a talking head from way over there, we don't look at you in the same light. But now, your talking head is dropping soldiers into my cities over here. See, this is an East Coast, West Coast thing, guys. This is Pac and Biggie again. This is the East Coast elites who are now running presidency of the United States of America are trying to find ways to attack the West Coast because they have ports. They have ways that you can make money that the Republicans don't currently control. They are a part of the United States of America, and they seem to be null and void of problems with Donald Trump. California doesn't seem to rock with Republicans the same way, and we elected Ronald Reagan from the state of California, so it's not like they can't put up Republicans that the country votes for. That's not the case. What we have here, ladies and gentlemen, is a different situation. We have a man who's already won presidency of the United States. He's already in the position of power. And now, instead of legitimately trying to fix things, like right now we have a government that's completely shut down. Something that needs to be fixed. Instead of working on things that need to be fixed, explain to me, American in the Midwest. Explain to me, American in the United States of America in 2025 with a cell phone in your pocket and Twitter and Facebook, just like every other Trump supporter has also. Explain to me why we have to deal with a man making things up to attack his own citizens when there is the illegals he said he needed to deport. Where are they at? Go get the illegals and stop them. Oh, well, you won't let me. Yeah, they will. Yeah, you're in a lot of cities with these people. Why don't you show me, oh, Omaha, Nebraska needed it. Oh, St. Louis needed it. Oh, Miami needed it. Oh, Dallas needed it. Like, start to show me all the places that needed it and show me pictures of police with your ICE and with your federal immigrations and customs enforcement people. Remember, not in case of emergency, not brown shirts yet. It's still ICE. Immigrations, customs enforcement. It will become in case of emergency soon, but just let us get there first. But guys, we're going to talk about all this because it's all one part of the big same problem, and we're going to get to that in a little bit. But before we get to that, we need to discuss the first topic on today's show. Stephen Miller claims on CNN this past week that President Trump possesses plenary authority, P-L-E-N-A-R, plenary authority, to deploy National Guard troops to U.S. cities And this has ignited a debate. Sorry, I have some issues that I deal with in my career. And one of the ones that has been really problematic over the last few years is a choking issue that I have developed. Basically, everything on this earth is constantly trying to tell me to shut up and never speak again. Everything on this earth, the entire planet. And the newest thing over the last few years has been my new choking problem. As I get talking and into things, I will start to choke. It will shut me down. I literally cannot speak because I'm trying to get... It might be from a dry throat. It could be from other issues that are a part of this, but it's become a real problem for me. Anyway, back to the point. Plenary authority is what we were talking about. The White House Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephen Miller, made his remark while discussing deploying federal troops to Portland, Oregon, despite a federal judge's temporary block. That's happened for this whole Portland stuff and stuff that they're working on. Miller's sudden silence during the interview, which kind of, if you get a chance to watch the interview, you should check it out. Stephen Miller, CNN, Plenary, Plenary. Go look that up. Watch how he says it and then realizes, oh crap, I just said something I shouldn't. Oops. Things we talk about behind the scenes. Critics, including social media users and legal experts, argue that plenary authority implies unchecked power, which former District Attorney Matthew Mangino emphasized is not granted to the president due to constitutional checks and balances. Matthew Mangino. How smart are you? You see, the Supreme Court of the United States said that as long as he was doing it under the guise of the presidential powers, that he was immune from prosecution. Immunity. Mangino, that does not have anything to do with checks and balances, bud. Miller referenced Title 10 of the U.S. Code, which allows federalization of the National Guard for specific purposes like public safety or rebellion suppression. But legal experts, including Richard Painter, Dick Painter, as I like to call him, safety or rebellion suppression, legal experts, including Richard Painter, note its limitations under the Posse Comitatus Act. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The Trump administration's appeal against the judge's rulings is set for coming up. And Texas National Guard troops have already been deployed to Chicago. That was a choice by Governor Greg Abbott under the concerns of this federal judge's block and the attempt of plenary authority that has come out of the mouth of Stephen Miller. But see, this is the great thing. Like, we are dealing with plenary authority because we are way beyond worrying about deploying federal troops to cities and the idea of maybe there's a rebellion and we all need to be worried about it and it's where we're at as a country and this needs to be focused on. No. Let me explain plenary authority to you all so that you understand why it matters in this context. In 1933, that would be the years during World War II. That would be the times when things were starting to ramp up for the late 1930s and when World War II would kick off heavily. But before that, you have to have little things fall into place. You see, ladies and gentlemen, we've been here before. The person was named Adolf Hitler. He was running Germany. They had a fine nation that was doing fine, except for this guy just didn't like things were getting better and moving forward in life. He wanted problems and chaos, so he created it. He murdered the Reich at the time to take power over the country. But to get to that point, it required steps. And one of the steps was plenary authority, the 1933 Enabling Act. That's right, Adolf Hitler and the Germans with the 1933 Enabling Act authorized plenary authority so that he could decry and put into the streets martial law. so that he could take away the citizens' abilities to do what they needed to do in their country that they live in. Once again, we're all born in places we didn't ask to be born in, and then one person is given all this power over everybody like that was agreed upon. No, it was not. You have 340 million Americans, 77 million voted for Trump. That's less than 25% of the U.S. population. 75% of the country either does not want or care about Donald Trump. But back to plenary authority. Stephen Miller dropping this word that is extremely unique. It only comes up when you're thinking about it. And it's a topic that is extremely unique. It is only necessary to discuss when the topic is being discussed. So it's so unique that when you bring it up, even in a slip, everyone's going to notice that. And that's where Stephen Miller screwed up. He let the cat out of the bag. You see, now Trump has already put troops into multiple cities. He's trying to deploy to all the cities. Once he does that, then he'll declare martial law. Then he'll use plenary authority. But you're letting him do it up until now. And this is what is crazy, ladies and gentlemen. All of you that are saying that it's okay, you're complicit. Remember that I said you're complicit. We're going to talk about that a little more here in a minute when we come back from this break. Biden should have stripped the presidential powers down when he was president of the United States. I said that multiple times on this show when Joe Biden was president of the United States. He needs to be working on stripping down the presidential powers and make it more of a figurehead position. But no, we didn't do that. We played all these other games, and now we're here. Joe Biden, thank you so much. Thank you so much for not mattering, for not being the amazing human being that you claimed to be. I'm not saying that you weren't a good person and you didn't deserve all of the ridicule you got, but there were things you could have done and you chose not to do, whether it was because you were getting old and losing a step like Donald Trump and his dementia-ridden, rattling, stupid press conferences that go on with 45 topics. Remember the UN press conference from a couple of weeks ago where he stood up there for 45 minutes with 30 different topics? Like, this is constant. We had to have one about Antifa. Do you guys realize there is a group of people, I didn't even realize this, that are running around Portland, Oregon, that have taken the name Antifa and turned it into a club, a group that gets together and takes pictures, and they call themselves Antifa, giving Donald Trump all of the fodder he needs. Literally giving him all the fodder he needs. To say, oh, see, they're an organization. See, it's not just words that people bet. Nope, here's a group that dresses up in cosplay and does this. Hey, Rose City Antifa, why do you keep dressing up in black gear and going to ICE facilities and trying to start fights with the ICE agents and everybody? Leave them alone. Go protest quietly across the street. Don't interact. Don't talk to them. Do not interact with them. Don't. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. But this Rose City Antifa group has really created a problem for a lot of moderates and liberals out there because it gives a face and a name and a designation like the Proud Boys to something that really doesn't exist. Antifa is short for anti-fascist, which means you are against fascists. That's it. It's a definition. It means nothing more than that. Most people are anti-fascist. I would hope that Donald Trump is anti-fascist since that's what his grandparents and everybody fought for. But ladies and gentlemen, when we start dealing with plenary authority and saying it out loud on CNN and telling the country we're putting troops there, and by the way, you're not going after the illegals and deporting anybody if you're going after Rose City Antifa and a bunch of people dressed up in cosplay in Portland. You're not going after illegals. You're not deporting anyone with immigration's customs enforcement. You're literally going after Americans. It is blatantly obvious at this point, ladies and gentlemen. We got to take a break. We're going to talk more about this because this runs into a much larger issue and it's all one and the same. And then we've got to talk about a very serious thing beyond that. We'll be back on The Left Hook with Mark Bland right after these messages.
Lazy yellow moon coming up tonight, shining through the trees.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Left Hook with Mark Bland, coming to you on these CBS radio affiliates every single Saturday morning, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, here on your favorite radio stations. I am a little impartial to WIBHradio.com and WIBH, that's 102.5 WIBH, as well as 1420 KRLL, and all of my other famous, friendly radio affiliates in the Midwest. Now, we've been talking a lot about Donald Trump, and we've been talking about plenary authority. But you might be going, Mark, how does plenary authority have anything to do with anything in our world right now for any reasons? And let me explain how this works, okay? And I'm going to make this really, really, really easy for you guys to understand, all right? I really am. I'm going to make it super easy for all of you to understand there in the world, okay? As you remember, he's rolling out these different military National Guard units into the cities, and he says it's to help fight crime. But if you originally remember, all of it was to deport illegal citizens, people who were, not citizens, illegal immigrants who are not citizens, and getting them out of here, getting them away from the United States of America. That's why he put all of this in place in the first place, if you remember, correct? Correct. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So now you are even up to date on why we originally were making these moves, except for now he's going after Antifa and the enemy within. We talked about that on the last show. He's going after the enemy within. But see, the enemy within is not the enemy on the outs. See, the enemy on the outs is the one trying to break in. Once they get in, you want to get them out again. But see, the enemy within is the homegrown people, the people that just don't agree with Donald Trump. They don't think that his moves are smart, and they know that he's doing these things illegally for a reason. Well, let's talk about that, ladies and gentlemen. Why speak up about things like plenary authority, words that never get spoken or brought up in society ever unless they are specifically being thought about? Why would this be brought up on CNN and TV? Why are there National Guard troops in Portland, Oregon? What is going on? What is going on specifically? Well, I'll tell you. You see, there is this thing called Occam's razor, ladies and gentlemen, and let me explain this to you simply. It means the simplest and easiest answer to a question is usually the correct answer. Trump has been using everything that he can to ramp up the authoritarianism fast in our country. He wants dictatorship fast in our country. And he wants all of that because he knows pedophiles get killed in prison, and 2026 is literally right around the corner. And he knows that's what happened to Jeff. Yep, Jeffrey Epstein, he knows that's what happened to him. And Jeff was a billionaire, and all of his money didn't save him at all. It didn't save him, and he's scared to death. And he should be. Now we have the government shut down, and a ton of people are angry. They're going to have double medical premiums, maybe triple, from all these Trump moves. He's pissing off everyone, and it seems all for protecting himself from the Epstein files. But the word behind the scenes, ladies and gentlemen, is they can't protect him much further. Things have to move forward in life, and everybody's not in the same boat mentally as a Donald Trump is. Maybe Stephen Miller wants plenary authority. Maybe Michael Johnson likes the idea, but maybe some of the others can't fathom it, and they're not going to hang on. They're going to get primaried in 2026, and they know it. They know what's coming. They see the military in the streets and the constant talk about it. They know they have, their people are in Maine. In Maine, none of this is happening, and they can't translate Portland, Oregon to Maine. So those people have no understanding. And they can't literally say, hey, well, we got to protect Trump because of the Epstein files. No, that is definitely the wrong thing to say. So, like, guys, multiple Congress people and senators are ready to pull their support, but only at the last second. Only when they think that it's not going to happen any further. Until then, they will play good soldier and do anything Trump tells them. But they have already shown to us as adults and voters they are the wrong people for our country. We're adults who vote and have 401ks and make money, and we know how much our friends and our families mean to us, and we understand the value of an American and what patriotism is, what the value of the flag is and all that. You think that they don't because they have a different political belief structure. They don't understand the flag or America or freedom. Like, you're crazy. You're trying to protect yourself because you're a pedophile protecting other pedophiles, dude. And now it's coming out, and everyone on earth is going to find out, and they won't be able to protect you. Caring about your freedom never takes a day off, liberals, moderates. It's every day and every year that you exist. You need to let people know that these people exist and scream from the highest of hills. Trump is about to be ousted as one of the biggest child predators of all time. I hope you understand that. Because everybody else in America does. Everybody else in Washington, D.C. does. Michael Johnson, listen, some of them even already know that he's in the files. They're still not backing off until they know for a fact he's definitely not going to be able to put them in jail or hurt them. That's when these Republicans who are a little bit more centrist, a little bit more moderate in their stances, the guys just to the right of Thomas Massie, those guys will come in droves and go, oh yeah, we don't support Donald Trump anymore. But until then, they're going to protect him. But then shouldn't we talk about the real enemy within at that point? Isn't that what we should do? If all this enemy within talk and plenary authority talk and all of this talk is on the board, let's talk about that. You see, I have a potential president getting ready to be outed and ousted as one of the biggest child predators of all time. That means 77 million adults with children in some cases. They voted to allow a child predator to be president of the United States. And when they were told that he was in the Epstein files, when they were told that he was a child predator, when they were told that this was happening, they doubled down and let him put military troops into your streets and drag your friends and family out of their quinceañeras and their birthday parties and their customs and immigration. Ladies and gentlemen, to this day, that still blows my mind. People that were trying to do it the right way were going to customs and enforcement hearings set up by judges and the government for things. And then they heard about Trump and what he was doing. And then Trump and them said, hey, you need to come here for this because this is going on. They tried to do it the right way, like they were told, like all of you and Charlie Kirk told them. And when they went there to go to the judge and talk to them, as soon as they got out, they got arrested and dragged down and told that they were illegal and needed to get out of here. Do you see? Even the people that you want to help who are trying to do their best things, Donald Trump doesn't want them. It's all about Donald Trump and the Epstein files. It's why they shut the government down. It's why nothing can open back up. But they have full control of the Senate, full control of the House, full control of the presidency, full control of this, full control. They could just open the government back up. Donald Trump wants everything. But see, he has to pretend and play this cosplay game of, I did it under the guise of how they wanted checks and balances to work. I just wanted everybody to see I was playing along. No, he's playing along because it drags the game out further and allows him to get deeper, guys. It allows him to get another day down the road with this. It allows him to get another day deeper into Portland and making that become his firm thing. By the way, if I could be so bold, Rose City Antifa, you give liberals and moderates a horrible name. There are tons of respected moderates like myself, Grant Stern, it's Dean. He's out there. He's a young man, and he's out there promoting stuff. People like Charlie Kirk. A lot of people out there on social media trying to protect Antifa. And then we have this rose, like when I say protect Antifa, Antifa is a word. It is short for anti-fascist. It's a definition. It's literally what all of our grandparents were who fought in World War II. They fought against Hitler. They were anti-fascist. So they were anti that guy over there. Trump loves that guy. Joseph Goebbels is Stephen Miller's favorite person. Like, you're missing the plenary authority, 1933 Enabling Act. It's all going back to Hitler, and you guys are being told, oh, Hitler, whenever I hear that word, it's just their dog whistle. No, it's literally going back because they're using that as their basis. They're using that as their way of putting this all together. Project 2025 and Hitler's entire scheme. They read Mein Kampf and they just started taking notes, guys. Come on. This is so simple. Now they're trying to use the government shutdown and all this stuff to protect Trump from the Epstein files. But if we're going to switch the focus of who our enemy is, and we go to the enemy within, well, now it's being pointed out as this Antifa group that supposedly isn't a group, but then there's Rose City Antifa who are like, hey, no, we'll dress up in cosplay stuff, we'll put on gas masks, we'll go out there and we'll start trash with people. We are the shit disturbers that we say we are. Well, you are. And that's a problem now, ladies and gentlemen. You're the disturbers. And when Donald Trump tries to say, oh, well, they do have headquarters and they do have a leader and they do have a group and an organization into this, they can point right at you like the Proud Boys and go, see, it exists. You freaking morons. You're idiots. You're morons. You're dumb. I don't rock with Rose City Antifa at all. At all. Not even in the least bit, because you're dumb. I might agree with some of your lighter sentiments about how this all needs to be gone and Trump needs to not be president and all that. Great. But we're a little bit more no kings over here in the moderate world, the liberal movements. We're a little bit no kings. We're a little bit more down that road. We protest. Why don't you guys take all that stuff you're wearing and stand across the street and just silently or quietly protest against the ICE people across the street? Don't engage them at all, and then keep your cameras rolling so that every single time it's them, not you. When it's them, not you, you can point out and show the video and say, see, we were here, nobody was bothering them, they walked across the street to us. It's always been them. Fine, but until then, you now have set up all of this crap for RICO statutes. Do you see how dumb you are? Do you see liberal in Portland who thinks Andy Ngo matters and is in media when he's not? Nobody cares? We know the name because he's like Charlie Kirk. He was a crap disturber just like him. And he's been around for a decade plus now doing this? Yeah, we know who Andy Ngo is. That's not mainstream media. That's not Jake Tapper, Mark Bland, Grant Stern. That's not Occupy Democrats. That's not everybody who voted in the general election for or against Donald Trump. The majority of people who fall into that category are just adults in their 50s and 60s who vote liberal versus conservative. They're not dressing up in black and calling themselves Antifa. Yes, they own guns. Midwest liberals do own guns. They do. Ladies and gentlemen, they do. That's it. There's nothing more to say. I've got an entire group of people setting up liberals and others for RICO statutes now that they're not talking about doing to the Proud Boys because they've already pardoned them. They already pardoned them. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how to go in to any of this with a straight mind and go, hey, listen, this is going to work itself out. No. Donald Trump's going to keep doing this. He doesn't want those Epstein files out, and they are on the edge of releasing, and people are ready to drop this dude as a human being. Stay tuned, This story is getting ready to pick up, and it's only going to get more hairier between now and Christmas time. I promise you that. We'll be back on The Left Hook right after this.
Nothing can stop us, even the night that falls all around us. Soon there'll be laughter and voices.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Left Hook with Mark Bland. Every single Saturday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Central Standard Time on CBS radio affiliates, but you can always listen at WIBHradio.com. You can always find out more about me at Mark Bland on Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram, Radio Messiah, and other places, as well as you can find me on Facebook. Mark Bland, just come talk to me. I'm more than willing to talk to you. All right. We've been talking about plenary authority. We've been talking about Donald Trump. We've been talking about using all of these things to protect the Epstein files from coming out. Michael Johnson has been the biggest bellwether on all of this. You understand that, right? Michael Johnson has told everybody, basically, we don't really understand what's going on. It's Chuck Schumer's shutdown and this, that, and the other. But you have the entire House and Senate under control, the presidency of the United States in Donald Trump's firm grip as well. And I mean, as well as, think about this. You also, and I could be just weird saying this. It could be just me being weird saying this, but you also have the unique position of we control all of it. Because you control all of it, you can open it back up anytime you want. You can run with it whenever you want. That's a true story, ladies and gentlemen. That is going on right now. They could open that government right back up. They could just choose. Listen, we've been living off of a deficit for 50 plus years. Every single day the government runs and opens is money we don't technically have to offset. And no, Donald Trump's tariffs have not wiped your debt clean. Think about this. Think about how much he talked about how tariffs save the world. Tariffs are the best. But tariffs aren't good enough to fix your national debt? Well, because you can't make enough money to offset the national debt. Yet we want to give farmers who we already used against themselves, we want to give them a handout, a bailout, a whatever now to fix their issues because I used them against China and all these other places, and now Canada and everybody else is filling in those gaps that I left with my bad attitude and horrible negotiating skills. And instead of buying our soybeans, they buy Canada's soybeans now. Because soybeans just require dirt and earth to grow, and yours are no better or worse than anyone else's that came from the dirt and earth. This was my argument I made about the prices of cannabis in different states in the United States, and I couldn't understand. It's the same sun, earth, and grass, and weeds, and dirt to do it in Michigan as well as Colorado, as well as, Duval County down there in Florida with the Panthers. Like, it doesn't matter. It's all the same sun, but the prices go from $50 to $60 this way to that way for these different places. Huge swings in prices that make no sense. Same deal here. But at the end of the day, Donald Trump can open up the government of the United States and he can get things back on track and running the way they need to be. I wish I had a producer and co-host. Everything that I was building up before my co-host decided to be the way he was and walk away from everything. Literally before that, building up. I wish I had that right now to play you certain clips. I really wish I had that. All I'm good enough at is my mouth can get me a job with CBS, Fox, anything, because they know my mouth draws ears. But outside of that, the government could be open. Donald Trump could be running the United States of America right now. Everybody could be just doing their jobs. But you see, you're not paying attention. He stopped talking about the illegals. It's not about the illegals anymore. He's making it about you. You at your job who hung out and fell asleep halfway through the 5th episode of whatever TV show on Netflix last night, who's at your job at Donut Hut or at McDonald's or at the bank or at Jiffy Lube or Sam's Club, wherever you work and live your life. You're there doing life right now, checking your text messages, talking to your friends on Facebook, chammering on about politics with people. They're coming after you right now. They're looking for you to take you down. Why? Why? You can barely get your headlight fixed on your car. They want you to be some evil army that created World War III because you just disagreed with Donald Trump. They don't have any wars. They don't have any problems. They're the biggest dog on the block. Nobody's going to try to start a war with the United States of America. We own everything and have all the power. Duh. So he has to start wars with you over dumb stuff in your cities and make it look like this. By the way, did your cities like Portland, Oregon have war zone similarities when Joe Biden and Barack Obama were president of the United States? Huh? Yeah, I'm sure there were some people that were politically motivated arguing with each other outside downtown all the time. But I'm saying, like, were your cities being called war zones? Did they need the military dropped into them? Not during Barack Obama, not during Joe Biden. And Joe Biden was just last year. Just last summer. Just a little bit ago. At the beginning of this year, literally the first week of this year, Joe Biden was president of the United States. It was just that long ago. You didn't need military anything. You didn't need interventions. You didn't need Donald Trump's help at all. Now, Portland, of all cities, think about it. Portland. You don't think about Portland for anything. It's a dumb TV show on a how should I say this? A forgettable network? Portlandia? That's a forgettable show on a forgettable network. Not saying it isn't funny or doesn't have funny people. Saying that it's a forgettable show on a forgettable network. That's the closest thing to Portland you ever cared about. Nobody cared about it for politics or Antifa or any of this crap that they're talking about now. Nobody does. The DNC is literally headquartered in Chicago. Why isn't your battleground state the main one where Pritzker's fighting back? Who's giving you the battle you're looking for? Why do you keep focusing on Portland? Because Portland are pushovers. Portland people barely have 1 million to 2 million in their area. Chicago has 10 million just off the fly, with Milwaukee an hour away and another 6 million themselves. Do you not understand? Up there in Chicago, he's going to have to fight because that's where the DNC is headquartered. That's where the Democrats do exist. They do have headquarters. They are the other side. You see, that's what he's trying to do, but you can't. You can't just go, oh, the other side of the coin, well, that's evil. No, it's just the other side of the coin, and everyone knows that. You can't just take things and go, because they said no and you said yes, those are bad. But what if you're one of the 77 million people that voted for Donald Trump? Donald Trump that knew for the last 25 to 30 years he was an avowed child predator who had done things with underage people multiple times, and Jeffrey Epstein knew about it, and so did all these other people, and now it's getting ready to come out, and you know the minute it happens, you're going to jail forever, or they're good. Because it's out of control how bad you guys were. This is crazy, ladies and gentlemen. Donald Trump needs to answer for the Epstein files if he is in them in any major way. And then we need to discuss the 77 million people with children that put all of our children into a position because they wanted to vote for a child predator like Donald Trump and a pedophile like Jeffrey Epstein's friend. That's a real conversation now. I can't trust you, Republican. You literally put a pedophile, and I have children. You put a pedophile into the presidency and gave him full immunity to literally predator others. Like, that is unforgivable. You need to be taken down for that. You cannot continue to have a vote in the United States of America. That is disrespect. That's disgusting. And by the way, in your towns and in your families, you should be ousted. You should be outed because you sat there and protected a pedophile. You sat there and patted them on the back and told other people in your family that they were horrible and they needed to be like a child predator. You're a piece of crap. And I don't trust you around your kids, much less my kids. And that's really the conversation that needs to start happening in the United States. Because when that other shoe drops and all those senators and congressmen walk away and the Epstein files are finally out and Portland is not a war zone and they found Antifa was 50 people that created some chess club in some random American city because some weird wannabe journalist made some BS reports about it in 2015. That's what we're staring at, ladies and gentlemen, right now. But we can get beyond all of that if you just open your eyes and pay attention. All right. I didn't want to finish the show with so much on that, but there was a lot to talk about. Guys, like, it's too much. Top 10 Halloween activities will take part in this month because we are in the month of October. I would like to do something about Halloween before we get out of here. A new poll looked at the top fall or Halloween activities that we will take part in. Let's take a look at all of this, okay? As I choke to death and keep talking about it on this show. Which, by the way, if you're looking for me to shut up, don't worry. My voice and throat will shut me up permanently very soon. I promise you that. It's already been trying to choke me to death for the last 2 years straight. Keep up with us. Number 1. We're going to watch a scary movie. 48% of people said that they will watch a scary movie. 46% of people said that they will consume pumpkin-flavored foods or drinks. I don't understand that. That makes no sense to me. That seems like an old thing from my dad and my mom's, their generation and prior, when pumpkins were like that. They weren't more for decoration. They were more for pies and foods and stuff like that. But we don't need pumpkin-flavored like Sprite and stuff like that. We just don't. Display Halloween decorations, 43%, of course. Hand out candy on Halloween, 39% definitely will. Me and my wife have been taking the kids out for the last 10 years straight. So, like, we've never been able to hand out candy at our house. This is the first year we might be able to. Another 11% said maybe they will. Carve a pumpkin, 30% said they would. I wish that was higher. I think more people should do that. Visit a pumpkin patch, 27%. Once again, a niche thing. I get it. Pumpkin patches aren't for everybody, but the way they set these pumpkin patches up at these farms now, the kids love it. Go out there for an afternoon for a few hours. Go to a pumpkin patch. I promise you, if you got little kids under the age of 10, hey, I'll even 10, they're going to love it. They're going to really have a good time. Wear a costume. Only 25% definitely plan to dress up. Another 13% might. Well, that's weird. 25% are willing to dress up on Halloween, the day designed for dressing up. Take a child trick-or-treating. My life, I said for the last 10 years, 23%. So think about that. 23% of people have children and are willing to take them trick-or-treating at least. Number 10, and finally, play a trick on someone. 17% said that might include a jump scare, Halloween props, or just an old school toilet papering of your enemy's house, like TP. You take the TP and you throw it all over their house and walk away, drive away. Now, hayrides, this is what I was looking for. It missed out the top 10 at 15%. Only 15% of people say that they will take a hayride, but fall is one of my favorite times of the year. I don't understand how you cannot want to do a hayride, how you cannot want to be a part of some of these things. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to get out of here on this episode of The Left Hook. I want to say thank you to WIBH as well as KRLL and all of you out there for listening every single week. Follow me at markbland.net. That's markbland.net. Old episodes, new episodes, and everything in between. Plus, you can find me on social media and other things. We will see you guys next time on the show. I'm swag, 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 I'm swag,